Robin, what a pleasure to see you in front of me again after, can you believe it's nearly 2 years since we last sat and had a chat together?
Dave, good morning, good evening. It's thanks for having me back, even if it has been 2 years. You look the same, and,
So
and
do
that's a
you.
that's a good thing.
It is.
So time waits for no man, but maybe it waits for us.
Well, we got such amazing feedback after the previous show, and people of course they were saying, they were loving the new album that you'd got out at the time, and of course we're going to get on to your latest album, Alive, and they were talking about that. They were saying, your voice, and another running thread throughout it all. What a lovely guy you are. They were loving the stories from the past, the tangents, your sense of humor, and how friendly you were. Everybody across the board was saying, isn't he a nice guy? And I can confirm you really are a nice guy, Robin.
Well, thank you, listeners. It's important just to be who you are, No sort of no BS attached to it. It's just who we are. We're pretty normal, and I enjoy my cup of coffee in the morning, as I'm sure you all enjoy your beer late.
Well, how rock and roll is this? You've got your coffee and I've got my orange juice. So
you see, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Exactly. Now, I am going to say, and there's a reason for me saying this, Robin. A month today, as we record, the 20th of February, it was your birthday.
Yes.
The reason,
20th of January.
Yes.
Yes.
So, a month ago.
Today. You're right.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because, of course, you share birthdays with rock gods as well. You've got Tracy Guns from LA Guns. You've got Paul Stanley from Kiss. You also share your birthday with my son as well, who was 23 on the 20th of January.
Congratulations. What's his name?
His name is Kyle.
Happy birthday, Kyle.
Shares a
Rock
good birthday.
on, dude.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because he lives with his mum. So he was 23, and as you can do in this day and age, we keep in touch via WhatsApp and we're having a chat. So we're having a chat on his birthday, and I came up and said, "Oh yes, your birthday, you share, Tracy Guns, Paul Stanley, Robin McAuley as well." Now I don't know how this escaped him. He wasn't familiar with Robin McAuley. I know. Bad dad work, I say, on my behalf, even though I blame his mum because he lives with his mum. So he then went and he started a deep dive. I got a few messages a few days later, Robin. His exact words were, "Robin McAuley is fucking awesome."
Oh, that's funny. Well, thank you, Kyle, and I hope your birthday was fucking great.
What's it like for you now? We talked about in the last show that we did, I've been a fan for a number of years that begin with a number 4. And you're getting new fans like that. Here's my son, he's 23. He's just discovered all your music. He went back and started with Samurai and went through Macaulay Shank and everything that you've done. And he's really into it. I mean, what's that like for you to sit here in the year 2023 and to hear all these new fans and even now discovering you?
It's super cool to think that a 23-year-old will actually take the time with so much other music going on that's typically not a 23-year-old genre, a go-to choice of listening. I have, as of last Friday, February 14th, actually 6 days ago, my two boys, they shared their twins, and they were 24 on Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
And my son Jamie just graduated. He got his degree in psychology. He's a full-on skateboarder, so he listens to quite a diverse style of music, and he cranks my shit in the car. And I'm going, "Do you even listen to that? Do you even listen to that?" And he goes, "Oh, Dad," he said, "all my friends are going, put your dad on. And then my son Casey, who actually always comes in on the Black Swan records and does backup background vocals with me because he loves the studio. He's a great guitar player,
Oh, good.
and he also joined me on a live for 4 or 5 tracks, and he cranks it. He cranks it, and he has a huge vinyl collection of
Wow.
80s slash 60s, 70s, 80s music, and he loves learning all of those classic riffs,
Yeah, yeah.
and he listens to screamo and all of that sort of stuff. Let's not get lost here. But out of those two boys, my son's listening to it. There's an extension of that because now their buddies think because Jamie and Casey's dad is
Yeah.
into that, we should give it a listen, and then suddenly they find, dude, that's cool. So it brings a smile to my face, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I think just to top that off, and I know I mentioned earlier before we got on here, performing at Steelhouse in Wales last
Mhm.
year. I have to tell you that something that was so very, very apparent was the amount of course it's a Sunday afternoon, and bring your kids to the show, but there was a tremendous amount of young people in the audience, and when you're up front and you actually visibly see these kids
Yeah.
mouthing your lyrics, you're going,
Oh.
did you even know that? How did you even know that? And then you almost want to stop and go, stop that, because you can't know this, you know. And that's a hell of a feeling. And what I habitually love to do is when I see that, if I have a minute, and I have a shirt or a badge or a T-shirt, I make a special effort to go right down there and hand it to him
Oh.
because he deserves it. And there was I'm digressing here a little bit, but I was in one of Michael's 2 hour long solos. I was off to the side of the stage, and there was a family, and he had his little boy up on his shoulders, and there's a ramp that comes up to the back of the stage at the festivals, and I was sort of hanging there for a minute, and he looked at me, and I went, "Come on up here." Of course, there's the security around the place,
Mhm.
and then with this day and age, and I brought him all the way up the ramp,
Oh.
and I gave him a shirt and all of that sort of stuff. And they sort of think, did that just happen? And I'm thinking more of that needs to happen
Oh,
because
yeah.
because if you can reach out and touch out, I mean, it's just life. It's just music, Dave, at the end of the day. But there are some sounds that seems to leave a lasting impression on some more than others. And if it's mine, then happy days, I say.
But that's the thing, though, what you just said there, Robin. I mean, because, you and all of your peers and everybody, you're up on stage, you're playing to thousands of people, and it's the tour must be a grind on the road, and it's, another gig and another a gig. But for the fans, it's, it could be that one time, it might be the only time that they've seen you. And even, things like high five mean so much. Those little interactions mean so much as a fan. And the fact then that you said, you did stuff like that, they're memories that are going to stick with them forever. Really are.
Yeah, and for me, I'm family is a big deal with me. I love family is very important to me. And when I can sort of connect them when I'm away from home, I really get a particular satisfaction out of that. It's
Yeah.
and it just it's a decent thing to do, and it just keeps you grounded anyway. It's no big deal. It's no big deal, and yet it's a huge deal,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it makes smile, for God's sake, there's too many miserable bastards out
Yes.
there. There just is. I'm going to say that right out the gate. There just are. People are so miserable and so
Oh,
like,
you
and it's
see
like,
it
come on.
online. You see it online, don't you? On all sorts of social media. And it seems there's people out there that all they want to use social media for is just to type negative
Vent
stuff and
their
have a
vent their
moan.
vent their
Oh,
misery.
find what you love and go and support whoever
Yeah,
you love online and tell them how much you love them. Don't be like typing all negative shit.
yeah.
Who needs
There,
that?
there is so much of it. it's where kind of when I wrote the lyrics and the melody on a live, that's kind of where I was I was watching a whole batch of social media, and I'm going, my God, this is so depressing.
Hmm.
It's so depressing. And if you can't sensationalize the worst thing that ever happened, because you're not going to get any sort of numbers on your listeners, nothing changes. Nothing changes, Dave. It's just like we love we love we love doom. We love
Yeah.
the doom. And we love doom. Ah, God. And so when Alive came along, I went, I'm going to go the other way with this.
Yeah.
And I started thinking old Frankenstein, the electrodes, bringing in the electric charge, give this thing a zap, because it's how I feel. I don't feel miserable and sort of, we're all going to go sooner or later, but not today, damn it.
No, definitely not. I
Yeah.
mean, we are going to come onto Alive, but just before we get onto Alive, actually, and there's a
Yeah.
few questions and about the music videos as well, because the music video for Alive was the first one that came off the album.
Right.
I just want to call back to when we last spoke, and something that you said was, because I became a fan with Grand Prix Samurai album, and I remember you saying that if you could go back, you'd love to re-record it because your voice is different now, and you think you could do it more justice nowadays.
Yeah. I
And
still believe that.
I
Yeah.
saw, I think it was like a week or two ago, that Mike Tramp had released an album of White Lion songs, sort of he'd
Right.
re-recorded them.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I'm guessing as somebody who's not in the music industry, that it must be sort of a rights nightmare for what you can do and what you can't do, and who
Right.
owns this, that, and the other. Is there any way at all that if you wanted to, you could go back and do something like that, or is it that rights nightmare that I mentioned?
You can always do it simply, and I will tell you a perfect example. Over the years, I'm actually working on this diligently right now, and have been for a couple of weeks. That we keep being asked the question, or I get asked the question a lot: how come I cannot access your MSG, Macaulay Schenker, whatever it is, records on iTunes?
Hmm.
Because they're just not up there. And when we recorded those records, there was no digital media, there was no platform
Yeah.
for that. But there has been since.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer, that the label never put like perfect timing. And I think Save Yourself might be up on iTunes, I'm not sure. But the last MSG, the last studio album is not up there, and a plethora of other stuff's not up there. So Steve Mann and myself, who wrote Anytime, oh my God, maybe 3 years, 4 years ago, something like that, we started talking about the same issue.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, we re-recorded Anytime. We re-recorded
Right,
Anytime,
okay.
and we made it available on iTunes, as so many people had requested. So by the same token, you can do the same with anything you've ever recorded, because now you've taken it out of the hands of the label that
Yeah.
was, and you've independently recorded it yourself because it is your song. And through your own, you can then make it available. You can
Yeah.
record it, and you can set it up for iTunes, and you can put it up there independently and make it available that way. So yeah, it's very possible. And with respect to the Grand Prix stuff, I bumped into Phil more times than oft, with Uriah Heep, crisscrossing, and we discussed for a long time, whenever we would meet, or via email or whatever, that we should look into Grand Prix stuff. But I get requests: how come we can't get a reunion of Grand Prix, but we can get it for every other Tom, Dick, and Harry? and Phil and I wrote a track on Standing on the Edge, the last solo record. And directly as a result of that, we started to take the conversation a step further. Mick and Phil and myself started to write new Grand Prix material. And I demoed up 2 or 3 new songs, and everybody goes, "This is great." And then they started discussing, "Oh, there's a bunch of old stuff that never saw the light of day." And I went, "Stop right there. Stop right there. That's 1983. old stuff. And I went, this is 2023. Leave it where it belongs, there.
Mhm.
If it didn't make the cut then, it's not going to make the cut now.
Yeah.
And yes, it's great for a little nostalgia, but only for us.
Yeah.
Not for the new listener. And I went, you've done so much that's so far removed from there.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I've done so much that's so far removed from there. And I had this very same conversation with Phil. I went, I don't sing like I used to sing, I think, and you don't have all that kind of pressure that we used to have. You got to do it this way and this way and this way in order to do that and that and that. And I remember typically with the Macaulay Schenker days, you need the power ballad, you need the song for radio, you need the song for MTV and VH1, and it's like, let me paint my numbers here, right? And if you don't do that, you don't get the tour. And if you don't do that, it's a horrible existence for music, While a lot of fun, you were channeled.
Yeah.
This is what we need for you to do that. And since all that went away, it's great to be able to go, the freedom of just writing,
Yeah.
And so, yes, you can re-record it and put it out independently. Absolutely, you can. Will we? That's a conversation for tomorrow, but we have discussed it. We definitely have discussed it. And, there's a bunch of MSG stuff that never got up on iTunes that people go, how come I can't get that there?
Yeah.
And so while we might do some of it live, people are, I got it now. And it is the best quality, of course, when you record on your phone.
Of course it is.
And the photos are the best, makes it look you. Yeah, it's possible, and we're chipping away at it. I don't like to delve too much in the past.
Yeah.
That said, I like to keep it fresh, and if the memories are good, keep the memories.
Yeah.
And then listen to the new stuff.
It's a balance, isn't it? It's like you said. Now you've got the freedom to do what you want, and you can record these songs, and you've got the ownership of them.
Yeah.
And then the other way, one of the advantages of growing up when I did is I've got everything on vinyl. I don't have to rely on iTunes, so that they're always there, and I can always play them as they were originally recorded. So it's.
And from an artist's point of view, we release an album and it goes straight up on YouTube, and the world and their dog can have it for nothing. So you spend months and months and months putting stuff together, and it's like, there it goes.
That's
there
awful.
It goes. Next. And it's work. We are working. That's what we're doing. We're actually working.
Yeah.
And when you work, you don't work for nothing.
Exactly.
And I know
Exactly.
And that sounds maybe a little. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, that word. Yeah. But that's the truth of the matter. It is a job. It's like, people go, you're having such a great time. I mean, yesterday I did a photo shoot, and I was in like the downtown LA area, and I was in the Hollywood area. And one of my sisters, who lives in London, and she was calling me, and I went, I don't have much time because I'm supposed to be downtown at 10:30, and this is like 9:15 or something, and I was late.
Yeah.
I was late. And she goes, oh my God, you're going to Hollywood, take lots of pics. And I went, oh, you don't want to see the Hollywood that I'm going to. So, people have, you have ideas about what it should look like. And harken back to what I just said. If the memory is good, you keep that memory.
Keep the memory, definitely keep the memory.
Keep that memory. Let's not spoil it with something that you're doing,
And I will use this moment to go back on something you said then. I mean, because we're sent a lot of advanced copies of stuff digitally to listen to. The music shows that I do as well, always promoting new bands that I grow up with, and I always say support the bands, buy the music. Share the stuff on social media, tell your friends. And I've got so many, even though we're sent the stuff digitally, I'll still go and buy the albums, because it's just like you said, it's your job. You need to. And if you love the music, support all your bands by buying the music, buy the merch, tell your friends.
Yeah, and you know, I love merch
Yeah.
from other bands. I go, I really want that shirt, and I'll buy the damn shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because I like the shirt, you know, and I love to rip the sleeves off anyway. That's my thing, you know. But I'll buy the shirt, and
Yeah.
if when I'm on a festival, I don't go looking for swag, you know. I go, dude, I gotta have one of those shirts, you know. And he goes, oh,
Yeah.
dude, I don't have them. I don't have them back here. Let me see my manager. I went, forget it. Where's the merch tent? I'll go get one. You know, and people go, oh no, dude, you don't have to. And I'm, yeah, if I want it, I want it.
Yeah.
You know, and swag's always good. Everybody loves swag. Who doesn't like a bit of swag? But you know, sometimes you just gotta go get what it is that you like.
Yeah.
And I thank everybody for that if that's what you do. And if you can't afford to, and getting it online is the only way, you know, good luck to you. Listen to it, enjoy it, and at least say that you like it or hate it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've listened to your new album Alive a lot, and I love it, Robin.
Oh,
It's again, you know, all these years that I've been a fan of yours, and you just never disappoint, cranking it up, pumping it out. And I want to start by talking. So the first video that came out before the album was the title track. It was Alive, and
yeah.
I talked to, I think it was last year. I talked to Ronnie Atkins, and he was saying,
Oh,
what,
Ronnie's awesome.
oh, he's great, isn't he? Yeah, he's great. But he
Ronnie's
was saying one of the things he hates is music videos because he stood there and sometimes he doesn't know what to do. And
awesome.
so then, because at first it's live and it's you know, it's you in like the warehouse or wherever you filmed it.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you like with music videos? What are your thoughts on them? And what was it like with Alive as well?
I'm with Ronnie. I'm with Ronnie. In
With
fact,
Ronnie, yeah.
in fact, my go-to photographer from the label, Enzo Mazzio, who is also owns the video production company that does the videos. He knows me well now, and he knows that it's one of my pet peeves. Is as a, you know, I'm not, just let's clarify this. I'm not a solo artist. I don't regard myself as a solo artist. The label likes me to do a solo record, and you know, I love Black Swan is just such a great band for
Mm,
me. But I like the security of other guys around me when
yeah.
I'm shooting a video. I don't like to be the lonesome crow, and it's like it's so awkward, you know. It is. And yesterday we did the video shoot, and I said, he goes, you ready? And I go, you know how much I hate this. And he goes, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You love it. You love it. Tell yourself you love it. And I said, you know, it's so hard to, so, you know, okay, we're ready. You start shooting, and there's just you. There's just you. And yes, we map out what's going to happen. The same thing for Alive. You know, we map it out. We know what we want to do, and we want to bring the lights up when we hit the chorus because we want to create as much power out of that. And you're thinking, how much power can you create with one single entity? You know, so everything around you has to support that idea.
Yeah.
And you have to look like 1,000 people. You have
Yeah.
to make it look busy. You have to over exaggerate every single gesture so you fill the screen, you know, as opposed to just little pinnacle, right? So and no different when we shot the second video, which was a heap of fun.
Yeah. Because you weren't alone because you were with you on that one.
Yeah, I was with me. And that was the idea. One of the guys, because he heard the lyrics, and he goes, "Dude, we need to have this battle with your sort of your alter ego." And the whole song was really about, you know, no, always listen to your gut. Your gut won't tell you you're wrong, but in this case, it's listening to your gut that gets you into a heap of shit, right? All the time, because every time I listen to you, you make me feel like hell because something goes really wrong. But we were in Hollywood, like a few days before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And it was really cold. It really was cold. And we were working right up till about midnight on the streets of Hollywood. And there were some really dark alleys, and the lighting was perfect. You couldn't get this in a studio most of the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had ambulances passing. We had like dogs walk onto the set. It was perfect for what we wanted to do. but yet again, there were clothes changes to be made to create the me
Yeah.
and the me and the other me, and it really feels awkward. It feels really awkward, and you're thinking, oh man, because you're not going to see it till it's done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So I'm totally with Ronnie. It's like it's like you wish there was 10 of you just in that moment, so that you could just go, was that okay? What do you think? You look really stupid doing that. So there's this constant talk with yourself, even when you're walking, because I don't know, there's something, Dave, when they go, okay, action, and you start walking. I can walk, but when you're told to walk on film, you seem to got this little gimp or something going on. It's like you're not walking, you're not walking like you would normally walk. And I go, be yourself, and I'm going, huh? Who's that? So, it's the same. And one of the reasons I hate photos is as soon as you're ready to take that shot, you stiffen up into these poses, which is why when we did the sequence of photos for Alive, I'm talking to Enzo, and I said, I don't like this up against the wall or the green screen, or I don't like doing all of that sort of stuff. Easier when you have a band around you,
Yeah.
because somebody is always pulling a different shape that you can poke fun at, right? And then usually you capture that moment, and it's either a really good shot or it's not. When you're a solo guy, it just looks so I don't enjoy it. So we decided that, or I told him my ideas about the whole Alive thing and the old Frankenstein thing, and bring the electrodes in and create the charge. And so we did a lot of that in post production, and we just created the moves that would drag out the electric charge. And he did an absolute amazing job with his post production people, and we captured what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Without having to feel awkward about it, because we knew that there was a lot coming in post production. And I had so much enjoyment out of it. And now people are using those photos, like, because there's a sequence of 4 where we start to pull the charge out till it's like this, and it works great. And that sort of stuff I can spend every day, all day, because I absolutely love it. The same as I get really involved with the artwork. That's usually my ideas, and I get really involved with the artists, and I spit out everything that I want, and then they think I'm crazy, and then we start putting it into sort of, the blueprint, and do mock-ups, and until we get it kind of right. And I have a wonderful artist for the label, Nello Deloma, who does my solo stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's crazy, but I love it. And so as long as you work with somebody that's equally as crazy, it's like
That's it. Yeah.
it's half the battle. So if everybody's crazy, it's good.
It all works out.
Yeah, because sometimes people are going, this is fine. You don't need any more. Then those are the wrong people to work with. I don't want to work with those people, because they want to get it done. There's no creativity in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fine. It looks good to me, right? No, it doesn't look good to me, right?
You want to go off in all different directions with everything.
Yeah. So I love to keep. There has to be an element of fun. So I totally get what Ronnie says. It's not easy, and you do what you do, and you do what you can do, as a solo artist, and make sure there's like room for tinting and making it look good. Yeah, we're not getting younger here.
How did the writing for the album go this time, Robin? Is it getting easier? Does it get harder? How's it working out now?
It was we involved, or Alessandro involved 2 more people, Herman Nori and Guillermo del Mordi, from his side, and then I used 2 guys that I used on Standing on the Edge from Sweden, Ulrich Longqvist and Pete Alpenberg, and we kind of wrote half, and Alessandro wrote like the other half, and then they sent me, oh my God, maybe 20 something songs, pieces of music. They sent me a lot of music, and I had met Alessandro while I was out with Schenker, in Europe, and we were headlining a Sweden festival, and Alessandro was on keys with one of the Frontiers bands, Jorn.
Yeah.
And we had a long talk, and I should have actually submitted the record last June, and I didn't get it into them till like November. I was so late because the road shows just got extended.
Yeah.
More than I thought it was going to, which was good. So I wasn't just late. Alessandro was late because he was out on the road as well. But we wanted to take it a little edgier, and he goes, "I'm just going to send you a ton of songs, and we'll just keep writing, and then you decide which ones you want to work on." So I listened to everything, oh my God, 100 times. And the 12 that I picked are the 12 that I felt I wanted to work on.
Yeah.
And then I got to work, and I picked 12, I gave him 12, and then I demoed 12. I demoed more, but we picked 12. And like I always tell everybody, I was kind of pissed because he's the producer and the engineer, and he never came back with any changes. And I went, "You're doing your job. Are you listening?" So he picked 12, and he goes, "This is awesome. I love it. I love it. This is great. It's very cohesive." And you know, people listen and they go, "Well, it's a little more this," and you can't please everybody. But for the most part, people seem to like that little edge that this record has more than the other thing, and I'm enjoying it. I think the songs are really good, and just between you and me and whoever else is listening, I always think, when people go, "Well, the guy is 70 now." So they start that way, and then they think that you're not supposed to make a record that sounds good or like anything close to it. So there is that sort of going in attitude of, well, he's 70, and if he was maybe 55, I'd give him like 5 stars, but he's 70, so I give him 3.5 because that's and I'm just making this up. But you understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
There seems to be don't put a tag on it. Do you either like it or you don't?
Yeah.
Do you like it or you hate it? I'm okay with hate if you really hate it, because I'll make more and you'll hate that too. So yeah, so I have a huge amount of fun still doing it. The writing was great fun. And I lock in. I go into a song, and I don't have books, and I don't have leftover lyrics. I don't have something the book of words, as I call it. I don't have the book of words to go to and reference to, and whatever the music tells me, if I have an idea lyrically, and it's an actual fact, like one of the songs on there, "My Only Son," is actually a true story, and I research it to make sure when I write, whatever I write is factual. It's not made up, and that for me is a lot more interesting to write like that, because now I have a huge story that I need to condense down into 3.5 or 4 minutes, and let it make sense with a chorus that's going to go, yeah, that's what it's about. And I have a huge amount of fun doing that, structuring it and that. And I do that in my own time, and then I demo it and at home. And if everybody thinks it's good, I head off over to the studio where I do all my lead vocals with a great engineer, Andy Zuckerman, who did my Standing on the Edge music as well. Andy's great. Sometimes Andy has no idea what I'm going to do before I come into the studio because he gets the stems from Alessandro. He hasn't had a chance because he's working on other stuff.
Yeah.
And he'll have everything set up, and the mic will be set up because we'll spend usually a day before all the recording starts. We'll set up the mics or 2 mics, and we'll know this will work for this song or this mic for this song. And he goes, "Everything's ready. I'm ready to go when you are." And he has no idea what I'm going to sing because he's recording me. And I'm going, and I need maybe 6 tracks because I'm going to do layers here and I'm going to do this. And he goes, "Whatever. Tell me when you're ready." and that's the process. It's like building bricks. I love it. I love that process. It's just I love the studio. It's because it's so creative in there, and and sometimes we don't do anything because we're talking for too much, you know. And we go, we should get something done here, right? You know, and that happens a lot with the Black Swan stuff, because I'll be in the middle of a lead vocal and Jeff will be behind the glass and I'll just stop singing. I'm going, you know, I just thought of something. And we'll just whoa,
Yeah.
we'll just move out of the woods for about 10 or 20 minutes, and we're going, oh my God, that's funny, I remember that, and then we'll go back to work.
It's so good to hear, you know, and see that, you know, the obvious fun and pleasure that you're still getting from what you do. And,
it's great.
you know, because obviously, you know, me and a lot of other people want far more music from you, Robin, in coming to us in future.
Careful what you wish for.
So please keep having fun with it. I mean,
I will tell you, I will use this segue here. I have been working for about 6 months now with an Italian composer, Max Di Carlo. And we have almost an album's worth of material that's very soundtrack, very sort of Netflix, HBO series type music. And it's some of the most fun I think I've had in all my years. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time. Never had the opportunity. I was introduced to this composer purely by chance for another project. And he said, if I can say this on air, he goes, "You are fucking great." And I said, "I think you're pretty fucking great too, right?" And so he said, let's move along. If I have lots of music that I always wanted to put a rock voice on, to see what would happen to it. And he goes, "Are you interested?" And I started working, and I came back, we recorded, and he goes, "This is great. Let's do this." And we just kept going. And we're supposed to showcase with like a full-on orchestra and all of that sort of stuff. I am super, super excited about it. Yeah, it's really good. So I will keep you posted.
Please do. Yeah, please do. Yeah. I mean, another question before we wrap this up, another question so many people have asked me as well. They want to keep up to date. Touring plans, is anything set in stone yet? Is there anything that might be coming up during 2023?
Yeah, I'm currently discussing with different promoters. The Frontiers Festival will take place this year in Milan in October.
Nice.
My plan is, if I can bring it to fruition, is to surround the festival with a series of other shows. Will that compile? That'll probably compile of my solo stuff, some MSG stuff, and some Black Swan stuff. We're hoping when we do the festival that maybe, I don't think Jeff will be there because they really want Black Swan to play it.
Yeah.
Which I would love. Red might be there with Winger, but we're not sure yet. And if he is, he said, let's bang out some Black Swan.
Wow, great. Set. Yeah.
So we'll do that, and I might do that anyway, but I'm not sure how that will sit, because I'd like to do Black Swan with Black Swan.
Yeah.
So that's how I'd like to do that. Anything less is less for me. But we'll definitely do a lot of this solo stuff first, second, and then some MSG stuff, just because people will go, "Why didn't you play this? Or why didn't you play anytime?" And yeah, because usually in an MSG set, Michael doesn't like to play too much of that stuff. Yeah.
Well, Robin, it's always a pleasure having a chat with you.
I talk too much. I apologize.
No, you're the perfect guest. I could spend hours chatting with you, and hopefully again in the not too distant future we'll get online again. I have my fingers crossed. Maybe sometime in person that might happen, and we can record in person.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
For now, thank you again for another great album. Thank you again for coming on the show and giving me your time. And yeah,
my pleasure, Dave.
Just keep doing what you're doing, Robin. It's great.
My pleasure, and keep sending stuff over to Kyle and see how he likes it.
I will do.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Robin. Bye now.
Awesome.